you're a regular viewer, forgive the rough sort of thing. This isn't a regular video. Just want to do a psychological analysis. Well, not quite a psychological analysis, but DSP's had a stream where he told us why he'd been fired from Twitch. And a man's mind is unraveling, and I am interested in doing. I'm always looking for a psychological perspective that I can take with DSP. Basically, I'm always looking for an excuse to talk about him because he fascinates me so much. But being a brunette in a black t-shirt with the blackboard behind me in low light with a crap webcam is. I'm gonna have to do something about it. I'll go change my shirt and draw a whale on it or something. Oh, that's a bit better. A bit more distinguishable from the background. A white shirt on. Ultimate Warrior, ironically. I don't play WWE Champions though. I'm not going to react to this because I've seen it before, but I'll just, I'll go through it and I'll pick out the certain bits that I want to highlight. I'm also going to try looking slightly awkward angles because I don't want the reflection to. I mean, DSP isn't worth the migraine, so I'm going to keep these on. Sorry.
I did anything wrong. I never got any advance notice or anything. I didn't get suspended. It was just removed from my channel entirely. The email that I received from Twitch.
Right, let's deal with the elephant in the room right now. Not the, well, the camera's on thing. The other elephant in the room, at least from a psychological perspective. A lot of people call DSP a narcissist. And it's worth making sure that we are all on the same page when it comes to a definition of narcissism. So I've got the Oxford Dictionary of Psychology here. And I'm just going to quickly read out its definition of narcissistic personality disorder. Personality disorder characterised by grandiose? Look, I feel like DSP. Grandiose ideas or actions beginning by early adulthood, indicated by such signs and symptoms as self-importance and boastfulness, preoccupation with fantasies of unlimited success, power, beauty, or other desirable attributes, self-image as someone who should associate only with high-status people or institutions, excessive need for admiration, unreasonable expectations of favourable treatment, interpersonal exploitativeness, lack of empathy, envy, and patronising arrogance. The term was introduced by the Austrian-born US psychoanalyst Heinz Kohut. Spoilers, you're going to be seeing a lot of narcissistic personality disorder throughout this.
Was the most generic form letter email ever. All it stated was that
right
pursuant...
Disgusted. The tone in his voice when he says the most generic form email ever. Like, Twitch is not an automated service somehow, Like, these things aren't just sort of stock sent out to most people because Twitch is not going to put the money up to have personal to have representatives for everyone streaming and everyone gets their individual rep. They're not going to have people doing that. There are people working there, but they are not going to pay for the sheer overwhelming amount of members there are on his site, on the site. And DSP is always angered by this. He always seems like personally affronted by it. Like, he deserves a person on the other end of the phone. If everybody else gets automated, he wants a person, and it's an unreasonable expectation, and it's just one of many. See, I can't diagnose DSP ethically. I can't diagnose DSP. I've not sat down with him and interviewed him. I've not spoken to him, but I can give you a list of symptoms and highlight times when DSP has displayed those symptoms and heavily imply. It's a joke in the detractor community anyway, fuck it. He is a narcissist.
To the terms therein of my partnership agreement that I had signed many years ago, they were terminating the partnership. They never explained the reasoning why
the terms
my partnership was being terminated in that original message. Okay? So I wrote to the Twitch support team, who ignored me completely.
They ignored
I wrote them a
completely.
second message, and this time they said, we don't handle that, talk to the legal team. So I did. Over 3 weeks ago, I wrote the Twitch legal team and said, I want an answer. Why was I kicked out of the partner program? And am I ever going to be eligible again to reapply for it and see if I can get back into it? Because this is how I was making my living.
See? Again, he is entitled. He wants these things. He demands these things because this is how he makes his living. He has an unreasonable expectation of other people and what he is owed in terms of the service that they give to him. I don't quite know why he gets this. It's almost like there's some sort of behavioural reinforcement of that, possibly involving money, maybe tips, maybe bits, by a small group of people who just reinforce this negative behavioural. Maybe. No, it couldn't possibly be that. No.
They finally responded to me.
They finally responded
over
to
2
me.
weeks after I initially sent my
again,
request.
Right, over 2 weeks. Again, he's disgusted by it. I just, it's a thing that I have to keep repeating because there's just so many times when he personally demands and expects more, and this is the core concept at the heart of narcissism. It is if there's one thing you take away about narcissism, it is that narcissists are incredibly egocentric. They are incredibly self-absorbed. They are the center of the universe as far as they are concerned. That's the thing, and that affects everything about them. From this point on, it affects the way they live their lives. It affects how they interact with people. It affects. Well, it can. You see, the thing is, it's what's known as subclinical because it doesn't necessarily affect your life the same way as a schizoaffective disorder might. If you are paranoid schizophrenic, that's having a major impact on your ability to, hold down a job and to dress yourself and to maintain social relationships. But a narcissistic personality can make it difficult, but it doesn't necessarily impede your ability to do it. You may have clashes with your people that you work with because you think they're pricks because they don't think you're the light that shines from God's great anus, but it's not impacting your life to the same extent as other personality disorders. So the cluster B type personality disorders, the emotional regulation ones, it's narcissism. And you won't believe I'm a fucking psychologist, Jesus. Narcissism and borderline and psychotic and fuck. I really should have checked. I really should have double checked. I'm a forensic psychologist, to be fair. I'm not all that with my personality disorders, but they're generally clustered around there's 3 clusters, I know that much. It's A, B, and C, and they're clustered around the effect that the thinking has. So cluster A, the schizoaffective types, they're perception based. There when you struggle with perceptions of reality, and the cluster B types are the emotional regulation ones, where you're like DSP is you are very egocentric, and that has an impact on how you manage your emotions, because if you're very egocentric, you don't take criticism very well. You can get very angry. And cluster C ones are the anxiety and fear-based ones, and they're the ones that general anxiety disorders are not generalized anxiety disorders, but they are anxiety-based fear disorders. So they're the ones that stop you from going out because you're incredibly paranoid. And getting ahead of myself here. I wanted to jump into something else there, but I'll come back to it in a bit. But I just want the amount of times that I was watching this before and thinking it's just narcissism. There's another narcissist. There's more. And I just don't want the video to be all that. So that's why not script videos. I should have really done that.
And I'm going to read this to you.
DSP's not worth the effort, though.
All right.
At least this.
I am furious right now. Furious. That is the least of the way that I can describe this, how angry I am right now. Okay, are you ready? Dear Darkside Phil, thank you for your message. 2 weeks later. Your able accrued revenue balance was paid on or around May 15th, which I told you guys on May 15th
right,
when I got
there.
paid, I showed you.
Did you notice? No, there's a little slip up there.
Dear Darkside Phil, thank you for your message. 2 weeks later.
Alright, to be fair to Twitch, it's a pretty decent amount of time to conduct an investigation into, that's 2 weeks. It's enough time to look through someone's streams, get a general flavour for them, check reported incidents, specific timestamps or dates or streams, Seems fine, but again, You took 2 weeks. You should have emailed me back immediately. I'm Darkside fucking Phil. But here...
Your able accrued revenue balance was paid on or around May.
On it. There. That little on it.
Paid on or around May. Paid on or around May. Paid on or around May.
When you're reading something out loud, your brain is processing the words fast, because reading is a very autonomic thing. You don't consciously read. You automatically do. If you look at a sign, you can't choose to not read that sign. You will automatically read that sign. So you've read all this. You might not have wanted to, but... Excuse me. But you have. But that's a very quick thing for the brain to process. But keeping conscious control of a lie takes a little bit longer. So when you're reading something out loud and you're lying about that thing, if you get to a part where you're like, hang on, I have lied about this, I need to make sure that my story remains consistent. When you need to check the words that are coming out of your mouth, it's harder to catch and pull them back. You did it very well there. Very well practiced. So, it's good at lying. So yeah, reading is a very quick thing, and the fact that he caught that meant he was onto that. He knew that was coming up, and he had made a mental note to check that on or around the 15th. The 15th was a Saturday.
May 15th, which I told you guys, on May 15th, when I got paid, I showed you all the evidence. I did get paid by them for what they owed me.
Oh, actually, yeah, by the way, his excuse for not showing the date was that it had been less than 24 hours, and it doesn't show a date when it's been less than 24 hours, it just shows the time. It's been more than 24 hours now, hasn't it? Could he show it now? It'd show the date, wouldn't it?
For as much as I had earned on the partner program until they kicked me out on April 21st. That's the standard payment period. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, the evidence, I did get paid by them for what they owed me for as much as I had earned on the partner program until they kicked me out on April 21st. He said, that's Twitch's standard payment.
Anger in his voice.
Okay, now, inappropriate conduct involving hateful slurs in violation of section 4.2.7 appropriate conduct agreement. What the fuck are you fucking talking about, you lame-brained pieces of dumb fucking shit? Hateful slurs.
Phil, I think they might be talking about...
What the fuck are you fucking talking about, you lame-brained pieces of dumb fucking shit?
I think they're talking about that sort of thing. See, slurs don't just have to be the racial words. They don't have to be negative words. They could be just offensive words. They can just be a word that somebody finds offensive. It doesn't have to be racial. It doesn't have to be about a specific characteristic of that person. If a word is bound to be offensive, it can be a slur. And there are times that you have said a few words that aren't racial but are definitely slurs. And the thing is, you can tell DSP this and he won't believe you because it goes against his beliefs. He believes that he is not racist. He believes he is not offensive. He believes that he therefore cannot be guilty of using slurs. And any evidence you provide to the contrary will be discarded in some way. This is going down another path that I wanted to come back to later. But should I front load it? Fuck it, yeah. This comes back to the idea of cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is when you have two ideas that are mutually incompatible with each other. And it's to do with the difficulty that you have assigning these things, like sort of squaring the circle, you know, just making them fit together. Being able to believe two opposing things at once, it takes an intense amount of psychological pressure, and it's difficult to do. So people grasp for anything that might perpetuate one or the other of the ideas. and they will find any excuse, any reason, anything. Any evidence can be twisted, it can be turned, it can be discounted, it can be discarded, it can be dodged, it can be, yeah, but what about this? There's anything. There are so many ways around the simple act of saying, oh shit, I was wrong about that. Because that's really difficult. Like psychologically, it's really difficult to admit we were wrong about something. It takes a lot to sort of like rewire the neural pathways in our brains that have carried that thought for however long we've had it. And so to sort of like reassess it is really difficult. And so people will go to extraordinary lengths to avoid having to do that. And this is what you see a lot with Phil. If you give him evidence that he was wrong, I can't be wrong. And this is compounded by his narcissism. Narcissists really hate criticism. They cannot take criticism. It is an attack upon them. It is a slander. It is a slur on their character. It is something that narcissists really fucking hate. And it gets them quite defensive.
Hateful slurs.
Hateful slurs.
Hateful slurs. What hateful slurs do I use on my streams?
I'm gonna go to big go.
What hateful slurs? If there were hateful slurs on my streams, I would not be on Twitch. I would have been suspended and kicked off of Twitch entirely. How can you tell me there's hateful slurs on my stream that aren't bad enough to get me violating the terms of service and ban, but are bad enough to get me kicked out of your partner program? Okay?
Okay.
Bullshit.
Here, another thing. DSP can't countenance the idea of a multi-stage warning. It's like, you know, technically impossible in his mind to think actually that me being kicked off the partnership program was the warning, and now they've like done their work. This is my actual punishment, you know. It's like suspended with pay, you know. Sort of. Actually, no, yeah, it was. He was suspended with pay, technically, wasn't he? It's that sort of thing. He's not been immediately kicked off, but they've been made aware that something is wrong. And in the meantime, while they're doing their investigation, they're like, right, well, we don't want him as a partner. Can't possibly be that for DSP. It's an either-or thing. It either has to be bad enough to get me immediately kicked off the platform, or it's okay, it's permissible. It can't be something that I've done previously and you're now getting round to it. It can't be something that I did a while ago and you've now completed your investigation into it. It's either all now or it's fine, you know? But when you immediately report him for saying a slur, he gets banned immediately. He's also offended then, so you can't fucking win. See, this is amazing. His mind is unraveling. Like, the stress is catching to him. It's fantastic. I should take delight in the downfall of people, but it's DSP. And I'm a glutton for Schadenfreude.
Okay? Bullshit. 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 There were no hateful slurs ever on my streams, ever. Since I've been on Twitch, I don't use hateful slur language at all.
We
ever,
back and forth about
ever.
There'll be examples. He'll have used them
Never.
in the past, but
I just was falsely suspended and immediately reinstated because I did not use a hateful slur.
You said
right?
the syllables
So
that triggered the automatic
I think
detection.
These fuckhead trolls have been sitting on my streams for the last couple of
That's all
months,
that matters.
literally clipping every instance where it kind of sounds like I'm saying a hateful slur and sending it to Twitch.
Again,
Now,
right. Again,
Twitch
narcissism. The narcissism. The narcissism and the cognitive dissonance here. It is easier to imagine a vast conspiracy in which legions of anonymous internet users conspire to flag you at Twitch and get you removed from the partnership, take everything from you because they fucking hate you, than it is to accept the possibility that you might have fucked up. It's easier for Phil to imagine conspiracies like this. I don't doubt that a couple of people probably did report him, but it's him. It's a mass organised thing, you know. It's like we all got round in the club and started plotting, and you know, like Tevin was there, and he was in charge of organising it, and then there's Snort Bennell who's in charge of logistics, and Selma Julius Cruz is undercover, and all this shit. And really, it's just it's individual people that are going. He said that word. Fuck it. Or again, like I said, it's an automated thing, and there's there's an algorithm out there that's listening for that combination of syllables, and he triggered it. It's the grand conspiracy. Again, the cognitive dissonance. It's just amazing. There are papers that could be written about this.
Twitch suspended my partnership, terminated my partnership for something that never happened. You have punished me legally for something I legally didn't do. In the United States of America, that's not legal.
It's what they call it, work at will states, not American. You might have been able to guess. Is it at will states? Because if he lives in an at will state, can't he technically just be dismissed for whatever? I mean, well, he could anyway, because he signed up to those terms. He accepted those terms when he signed up to the partnership program, that Twitch can remove you without giving you notice. You can complain about it all you want, but you accepted those terms. You accepted the terms. But my point is, like, if he does live in an at will state, I think is Washington State an at will state? I can check this. If he can get up and write a fucking email during a live stream, I can check this and edit it out in a bit. Washington is an at-will employment state. Businesses may fire any employee at any time for any or no reason, as long as they are not violating any employee protection laws. So I guess, yeah, he could have.
You can't punish someone for something they didn't do.
They can.
In a court of law, it would never hold up.
And it's not a legal thing.
It would be one thing if they had said, "Oh, you did this."
But I've
never done it.
Because
if
his ego can't let
I
him
wouldn't
not.
have been able to keep streaming on Twitch. They literally, in this email, just shot themselves in the fucking foot and proved their own statement is wrong, because I wouldn't be streaming on Twitch if I actually used hateful slurs.
Well, again, it's not an immediate thing. It's sometimes these things take a while to get caught. You know. Sometimes reports take a bit of time to go through, or a response is not immediate, but he seems to think it should be for him, because he is the centre of his universe. He's the only important thing there. Everything else is in subservience to him. So, just look how angry he's getting at that. I mean, you know, we all use these sites. We all use YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. We all know they're automated. We don't bitch like this about it. It's the reality of the way it is, you know. But he can't accept it. His brain won't let him. His ego, his personality won't let him.
So they are wrong. This is completely wrong. I am innocent, and this actual email proves my fucking innocence. I was punished for nothing. Twitch is a piece of fucking shit. I'm sorry. It is.
Burn the bridge.
It is. If you can false report someone repeatedly on Twitch over and over for something that's not happening, and Twitch's people there are so fucking stupid, they kick you out of the partnership program despite the fact you never did it, that's not a place where I want to ever do business ever again. Ever.
This is another example of the, it's called emotional lability. It's the very rapid swinging between emotional states. And in this case, it goes from, granted, a couple of hours may not be very rapid, but it goes from he was fine before this started, and now he's really angry, and there is cause for him to be angry. But when he is talking about his situation, it again varies. He gets very passionate when he talks about, you know, the fact that he feels he has been wronged. And then when he addresses Twitch, when he's ranting at Twitch or someone from there, his tone changes and the words he used change, and his intent is more aggressive. He's more demeaning and insulting to them. He's more abusive to them. Really, this is coming back to this. This is another thing that I wanted to dive into. We say the cult of Pig Roach, but he really does operate very much like people involved with cults. He's very manipulative in the way that he uses language to draw people in. When he says we, he says, you know, we did it, we hit the vest goal. You know, that's him bringing his people in. It's him bringing his community in, and by doing that, you're not only creating a sense of community amongst these people, and you know, people do. You get a sense of community when you start hanging around. It's a parasocial relationship. People are sort of interacting with him, but they're not face-to-face IRL interacting with him. There is a wall between them, so it's not quite a true relationship. Even when he does talk to them on Discord, it's not quite a true relationship. So that's developing, and he's using that to bring people in. But when he says we, he creates a community, and he by virtue of creating a community, you create an outside as well. You create an out group. You are part of the in-group here. You are part of the select few people who are fans of DSP, and everybody else is an out-group. Everybody else is a part of the outside. They are not part of this group. And the more you can isolate someone from the rest of the world, the more you can keep them in your group, the harder it is for them to sort of like pull away and leave. And he's very good at using his language to do stuff like that. And I genuinely think he's kind of abusive, because if you look at how he was with Panda and how he was with Kat, I mean, he basically convinced them to move halfway across the country, and he's convinced Kat to just not be online at all. She completely scrubbed basically all of her online presence, and Panda, to be fair, I can see why she would not want to be online. You would not want reminding of this. But actually, I'm really happy for Panda. but yeah, generally he's very good. He convinced her to move with him halfway across the country. He moved her from her family and friends, and he isolated her there with him in their gated community. And he has done the same with Kat. He has moved her away from everyone she knows, and now she is there with him, and that's her entire world now. She's not online anymore. So barring work, who again with Panda, she was allowed to go to work as well. That's the condition. And the only reason I think that he lets them do that is because it's all to do with it. It's greed. Greed is massively strong. So yeah, I do think he operates kind of like a cult leader. I know when we say the cult of Pig Roach and Pignosis and all that, I view it quite seriously. Because you can just sort of like see the psychological parallels, you can see the similarities. It's slightly creepy.
Ever. I'm not done with the email, by the way. There's more to it. I'm going to read more. Okay? I did nothing wrong. I want to know who investigated this and determined that there was a violation when there obviously couldn't have been a violation, or I would have been kicked off the site.
I want to know. I want to know who did this. I want the name of the person who investigated it, preferably his head on a silver platter. I want to know. Because again, he expects better than everybody else. He expects superior treatment because he's Dark Side Phil. He's a narcissist. In my unprofessional opinion. Allegedly. Maybe.
I've had it.
Can't ethically say, I'm sorry.
I fucking had it. It says right here, hateful slurs. Right here. Twitch terminated the agreement following its investigation of repeated instances of inappropriate conduct involving hateful slurs. I don't use hateful slurs. I'm not a racist. I'm not even biased in any way, shape, or form when it comes to something like that.
Just casual reminder, I'm sure you know, but there's a compilation of Phil being racist, and it's nearly half an hour. It's literally 29 minutes and something seconds. I think it's like 17 seconds or something like. I think it's 29:47. But yeah, he's not racist. He's just got enough racist material throughout the last 10 years of his career to fill nearly half an hour of compilations of quick clips.
I'm the least amount. I grew up in a multicultural world. Every school I ever went to or whatever, I was surrounded by people of every race, color. I don't care about that shit. I don't see people by the color of their skin. I've been one of the most open people when it says, I want everyone on this planet to be happy. I don't care about the color of your skin. I don't care about your sexual preference, your gender preference. Just be happy. Everyone has a right to be happy. Hell, I've been pushing. I feel that there should be homosexual marriages. I
right.
believe that should
Fair
happen.
enough. He does misspeak, but
I've never,
come
ever
on.
used a hateful slur. Ever. And that pisses me off. That really, and I have the right to be pissed. I have the right to sit here and say, I am angry that someone said I did something I didn't do and they punished me and they have concretely hurt me in my business for something I didn't do. All right? Now, let's continue.
See, again, because he has not explicitly been told, this is the thing you did. He, as far as he is concerned, has done nothing wrong. He cannot remember a time when he has said the N-word. Therefore, he has done nothing wrong. He can't remember a time when he's used any other racial slur. Therefore, he's done nothing wrong. The possibility of other things being slurs does not occur to him because he cannot put himself in somebody else's perspective. He cannot empathize with someone to the point where he might be able to consider something is offensive to this person. And that leads me on to psychopathy. Because, fuck it, we're going down the dark triad route. Like I said before, narcissism is grouped in with other emotive disorders. It's grouped in with other affective disorders, sorry. The dysregulation of emotions. It's also part of what's known as the dark triad. Typically, the various clusters of personality disorders don't really overlap that much. Can do sometimes, but narcissism has been found to be incredibly associated. God, I missed me. I should have put my other camera up. Narcissism has been found to be quite well associated with psychopathy and another degree of personality disorder called Machiavellianism. Machiavelli's the princess. Basically, it's the ability to charm people into acting against their self-interest, I guess. You know, it's a way you manipulate people. Basically, it's people who are good at manipulating people. Sudden flood of horror. Psychopathy and narcissism were found to be quite linked. There's a famous experiment here by Paul Huss and Williams, was it? They interviewed like 200 and odd college students, and they did a bunch of tests to examine and measure various personality traits and things, various like aspects of your personality. So you know, there'd be one that measured how anxious you were, and there'd be another that measured how positive you were, and all this. And they found that people who scored high in one of these traits, one of these three dark triad traits, would be likely to score equivalently highly with the other two as well. So there's like an interplay between these three things. And what you end up with is, with narcissism, the sort of self-centered, egocentric part of it is kind of amplified by the fact that the psychopathy engenders a sort of inability to empathize with someone and consider things from their perspectives. It's possible you could tell somebody how to do it, but you know, it's not something that Phil has learned at all, because he repeatedly shows an inability to empathize with people. I'm just going to leave the footage of it. Was it War Dog leader, the guy who'd lost his brother?
And now War Dog has earned himself a ban because it's obvious either he's a troll or he's just someone who is just going to be here to derail everything, and tough shit. Goodbye.
Actually, I probably can't find the footage. It's out there somewhere, though. I'll find it and put a link in the bottom. But yeah, he just can't. He went and woke Panda up when she was ill to make him dinner.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You know, it's pretty fucking strong evidence there. So, God, I can't believe he did that. Like, when you think of DSP and Panda, you think of the hospital.
The thing is, I know if this ever happens again, I'm gonna tell him you are not allowed to bring her to the hospital. No, you get no permission to fucking do it. You can't give her a pill. You want to give her a pill? Give her a pill, and that's it. Because you're just gonna waste our time again. You didn't help us at all.
You think of that, and it's like, shit, he did that as well. Oh God. But yeah, so that's the dark triad basically. It's sort of like the most malignant bit. Psychopathy is seen as like the most malignant of the three, because it's the bit that sort of strips away your morals as well, and means that you don't have as many qualms as about taking advantage of people and manipulating them as you would if, say, you were more say narcissistic on its own, you weren't really that psychopathic. You have a lower level of it, and lower level of Machiavellianism, and it would be someone like Phil who can sort of scam a few people but can't really do it well. Because I mean, I probably saw it on Twitter, but somebody pointed out that if he's scamming, how is he good at it? Because he's struggling, you know. And so that's the bit that made me think, well, maybe he's not that good at it. Because he's not as psychopathic, he's not as Machiavellian, he's got a lot of traits of narcissism, but it's difficult to sort of like demarcate the line between sarcasm. It's really difficult to work out sarcasm. It's difficult to sort of like differentiate between narcissism and psychopathy because they can share some symptoms. So it's you generally need to bring in the others. You need to bring in if you've got somebody who just lacks empathy, you need to look at the other aspects of them to sort of like say they're leaning more towards one way or the other. And Machiavellianism is a good way to sort of like compare the dark triad because it's very related to how charismatic you are and how commanding a presence you are and how forceful personality you have. And Phil is very obviously repugnant to a lot of people, so it's not really a concern. I think he does probably have some psychopathic traits. I think he does lack a lot of empathy, but I don't quite think he's on the dark triad, but it's worth mentioning because he is quite involved. And I do sometimes see people call Phil a narcissistic psychopath or a narcissistic sociopath. I think he might lean more towards sociopathy actually, because the difference between the two there is psychopaths, well, there's a couple of differences, but the main big one, that psychopaths don't feel anxiety either. Sociopaths can feel anxiety. They can fear for their own self-interest. But psychopaths tend not to, so they don't tend to worry. And so they'll tend to take bigger risks, and that's why you tend to end up with a lot of psychopaths being very successful in the world of business. They're willing to take big risks with a lot of money, whereas sociopaths will probably be a bit more anxious about it and unwilling to do it. And I think Phil has displayed a lot of anxiety at times. I don't think it's necessarily the main motivator. I think there's probably a couple of things that make him want money. You need money, but I think anxiety does. More and more recently, it has been playing a bigger influence. It's been playing a bigger role in things, but generally, I don't think he shows that much anxiety. Though he has shown it, and that's the important part. Anxiety tends not to be the motivating thing. It tends to be greed, doesn't it? It tends to be addiction. It tends to be, fuck it, just bills. But it's rarely shown as anxiety. It's rarely manifested. He shows it as anxiety, but it's rarely manifested like anxiety actually manifests. But more and more recently, I think it has been. Anyway, waffling on again.
All right, let's continue.
Yes, let's.
I'm laying down the law. Dear Twitch, watch this video and listen to me very carefully.
I have a strange compulsion to pick up the Oxford Dictionary of Psychology and read the definition of narcissism again, and I don't know why. Grandiose ideas or actions beginning by early adulthood, indicated by such signs and symptoms as self-importance and boastfulness, preoccupation with fantasies and with limited success, power, beauty, or other desirable attributes, self-image as someone who should associate only with higher status people or institutions, excessive need for admiration, unreasonable expectations of favourable treatment, interpersonal exploitativeness, tripping up, lack of empathy, envy, and patronising arrogance. I keep missaying that as well. It should be lack of empathy, envy, and patronising arrogance. It just makes it sound like he lacks envy as well. And they're different items. I think we all know he's quite envious. Especially journalists who get game codes early. And people who are still partners on Twitch. Proud of Tevin, though.
I want a public apology from you. I never did what you were telling me I did. There cannot possibly be evidence I did because it never happened. Not once have I used a hateful slur on a stream on twitch.tv. Never.
Keep in mind.
I don't want to hear it. Unless you can concretely prove to the world that this happened repeatedly in a manner that I would be terminated from your partnership program, but somehow magically not terminated from your website, go on and do it. But since you can't because it didn't happen, you owe me an apology. In addition to that, I demand that if you do
can't.
the right thing here, you're going to reinstate my partnership. All right? You are. Because if you don't, you're basically telling the world, the entire world, you can terminate someone's partnership for something they didn't do with zero evidence that they did, and too bad. You're basically saying we're an inept business.
Wow.
We have actual no checks and balances for what our employees do. We have no checks and balances for troll activity. And absolutely anyone can be punished for something they didn't do. You're saying you have an unjust, unprofessional business. All right? It's this simple.
No.
I demand.
No, what they're saying is we've set out terms, and if you break them, we can kick you off without telling you why. You just can't accept that you've broken them. He can't accept. His mind won't allow him to because it's a flaw. It's him being wrong. It is a gross insult to his ego. He can't accept it at all. Okay, now.
I demand it. And if I don't get it, I'm never going back to Twitch.
Oh, he won't
As
come
of today,
back.
May 18th, 2021, I am laying down the law. I did nothing wrong on your site. You have no evidence I did anything wrong on your site, or else I would not be able to stream on your site. Therefore, public apology, reinstatement of the partner program.
It's amazing. I've noticed. I know. I'm gonna fucking hell. It's been nearly 50 minutes. This is the thing that really winds me up about DSP. It's the repetition. It's just the constant. It's over and over again. He will tell the story, and then by the time he's finished telling it, he's ready to tell it again. And he can loop several times, so he'll be able to tell you a story in several steps, and there'll be repetition along the way. It's just so annoying. It's so annoying. But it's a really effective way of sort of pacifying your audience. Repetition is really good at sort of making you zone out, and repetition is really good at sort of making you zone out, and repetition is really good at sort of making you zone out, and makes it really difficult to pay attention and think of properly, cognitively, and properly consider things. So you're just more likely to sort of go, right, fine, yeah, take me money. It's a very clever thing. It's a very subtle thing. But it's fucking annoying once you notice it.
I don't care. Send this to Upper Twitch Management. Send this video to anyone you want.
Send it to Upper Twitch Management. Unreasonable expectations, preferential treatment.
It is garbage. You cannot punish someone for something they didn't do and ruin their business when they didn't do it.
Maybe you shouldn't hinge your livelihood on this one site. Sorry, but you know.
And if Twitch comes back and says, here's
maybe you should have alternative sources of revenue.
Then let them do that. Then at least I can say, fair enough. Here's some evidence of things that I did wrong, and now I can actually learn from it and improve. The problem is, this is not evidence. Saying I did something that...
Again, narcissists do not take criticism lightly, and DSP has been infuriatingly resistant to change. Think how long it took him to adopt capture cards. Think how long it took him to play Minecraft. Think how long it took him to join Twitch in the first place. Think how long it took him to open up Teesprings and Patreons and have private Discord servers that he doesn't mention. He doesn't change. He's infuriatingly resistant to change. And again, if you give him evidence that he was wrong, he will have a reason for it. It will be taken out of context, or that's not what he meant at all, or it was a reference to something else, or he was actually in a discussion about something. He will pull a reason out of his ass rather than deal with the cognitive dissonance of I am perfect and I have fucked up. You know, he can't ever admit that he was wrong and learn from his mistakes, because if he could, he wouldn't be here.
That obviously I didn't do, or else I would have been terminated from your site regardless, unless they now acknowledge, oh crap, really, he didn't do that, because he obviously would have been banned from the site. We screwed up. Let's fix our mistake. Great. Then I'll go back to Twitch. If that doesn't happen, I'm on YouTube forever.
The other benefit of making unreasonable demands is that it gives you a justification later on when those demands aren't met. You can say, right, well, fuck Twitch. They obviously didn't care about me, so I don't have to deal with the fact that I fucked up and got kicked off the service, because they're the ones that are in the wrong, and now I'm on YouTube, and YouTube is fucking great. So it's a nice little bonus, because there's always a slight chance you might get those unreasonable demands met. It's rare, but if you've quite high with the Machiavellian shit, and you know you're you're good on your psychopathy, you might have fewer qualms about actually manipulating people more often. So you might be good at it, and at that point, you know, there's not really much to stop you from doing it. But you know, you miss the shot if you don't take it. So why not make the unreasonable demand and get it met? But if you're bad at it, like Phil, you're not going to get it met. And rather than go, well, fuck, it lets you go, right, well, fuck them. Because it's a nice little defense mechanism. It's a nice little extra justification for why that evidence doesn't matter anymore. It's another way of avoiding cognitive dissonance.
It's that simple.
I love this bit as well.
Balls in their court. The ball is in Twitch's court to do the right thing.
The benevolent and gracious dark side Phil has allowed Twitch the right to reply. He will let them make their decision.
Thanks.
And if they so decide to let him back, he should come.
I hope people do send that to Twitch. They deserve it. I
Hopefully
can't believe this. I'm insanely upset. I mean, I couldn't be more upset right now. I seriously could not be more fucking upset than I am right now. I'm just incredibly upset.
I'm not topping that. I'm sorry.
About this. Seriously.
That's as good as it gets on this channel.
What bridge? They're the ones who did something wrong to me.
He doesn't see it as doing harm to himself.
Fair and right and just.
It's fair and right and just.
I'm not burning a bridge. I'm asking for something that's fair and right and just. I didn't say.
He can't conceive of the situation where he is in the wrong. He's always the victim. He's psychologically primed to always be the victim. If there is some injustice that he has faced, it is a deliberate attempt on him. He just can't be unfortunate, you know. If his car breaks down, it's probably something to do with the detractors fucking with his fan belt or something. If the bag snaps with his shopping in it and it goes all over the floor and he breaks like 12 eggs, it's not an accident. The detractor store clerk weakened the handles of the bag or something, you know. But he just can't accept that he might be in the wrong. He might ever be like, oh shit, I have fucked up, I am in the wrong here, they're right. He just won't. There are so many factors involved here in this. Like there is his ego, there is his as a defense mechanism, there is the narcissism, and it's just so much of it is pushing. There's the cognitive dissonance, and there's the lack of empathy, and the inability to consider another perspective. It's all pressing down on his head, you know. It's all squishing his brain. Well, it's not really. It's probably swirling around in his brain, rattling around in his head. Sorry, there's not really much else up there.
Didn't say any hateful slurs on a Twitch stream ever.
Oh, I'm tired.
They're full of it. What it really sounds to me is that they got mass reports about me. They were all fake. Some idiot sat there, watched all the clips out of context. Oh yeah, look at all this, and then they just terminated it instead of actually looking in context and seeing it's not true. So fuck them. Like seriously, fuck that. You can't do business with a company like that. You can't
do business with a company that you tell them to go fuck themselves, can you?
Unless they reverse their decision. In fact, I'm going to write them back to the legal team right now. And I'm going to tell them, you're out of your mind, and you better fix this, right? Okay, you're nuts.
He did. He is so wrapped up in his own world at this moment that he cannot consider the perspective of his audience. He can't consider the people that are sat on that stream right there and then. I was one of them. It was fucking mental. I went down for some food, and when I came back up, he's still gone. He goes for, I think it's like 12 minutes. You can see he brings up the PlayStation home, and you can see the clock in the corner. 12 minutes of staring at the PlayStation home screen and his chair in the corner. He doesn't even bring up like the stream will be starting soon slideshow and the music, just to keep his audience, the people who are paying him money, the people who are paying his bills, feeding his addiction, the people who are responsible for his way of life and the way of living that he has become accustomed to. He he's too busy with the email. This is more important. Got to be done. You could sit there in silence. Cannot consider another perspective at all, because he lacks the empathy to put himself in somebody else's position.
They're for good. You're nuts. You're actually nuts.
Is there anything else I wanted to
sort
of flag up during this? Fuck me, this is nearly an hour.
That they actually just did that.
Is it worth looking over what he's written?
All right, so
I mean, you've seen it.
All right, everyone. Here's the deal.
You know, by this point,
happened.
you can probably put together that
So,
it's ego defense. He just doesn't want
I've
to admit he's
just,
wrong. So you know, the
responded
cognitive
to
dissonance
the
is
legal
forcing
team.
him to act this
I
way,
told
and his
them
ego can't
exactly what I
accept
just told you
that
guys
he's
on
wrong,
stream.
so
It's
he's-
completely wrong what they did. There's no way.
the tone that he's
that what
taken
they're
with
saying
this
could
email.
possibly be
just,
true.
You know,
Because if it were true, then I would be banned from Twitch. There's no way that I
you
would
just
have
can't.
repeatedly said.
I don't get why you
slurs on
can't
their site
understand
and
that
been
though.
able
I
to
get
stream
why
on their
you can't
website,
accept it,
yet
but
I'm
I
bad
don't
enough
get why
to
you
get
can't
out of the partner
understand it.
program.
You
Doesn't
can't
make any sense.
understand.
So basically, I told them three
That-
things.
that gap
Number one, I want them to review the situation.
report has been
and
received.
try to
We're
figure out how on
investigating
earth they
it.
came to this decision.
An
when there's no way
investigation
there could have been
takes
evidence
time.
that anything like that happened. Number two, I want a public apology. And number
demands.
three, I want my partnership back immediately. And I told them they have a week to respond and tell me what's going on. And if I don't hear from them within a week, I will never stream on their site ever again. It's that simple.
Twitch is like, oh,
we'll
fuck.
see what happens.
Guys, we might lose DSP.
They respond and say, "Oh,
Shit,
there's
what
evidence."
have I
Fine.
done?
Then that's it. That's the end of it, you know. But if they
Fuck,
don't, 'cause I
guys,
suspect they haven't
someone's got to
released
draft up a
anything.
public apology.
If they did, again, I would have been banned from the site. You know, then what are they gonna do? They have two choices. They can say, "Oops, we screwed up badly, and we'll undo everything we did." And here you go. Or they'll ban me from the site likely. Because likely what they're going to do is they'll want to cover up their mistake. So they'll probably just outright ban me from the site. Even though I'm not even streaming on there. And doing anything wrong.
Exile shit at
So,
this point.
we'll see what happens.
They want to cover up they made a mistake.
It's going to either be they admit
Because
they
the
fucked
internet
up
will rally around
and they fix it,
DSP. This injustice.
you know,
It's
I
amazing
get
that he
outright.
doesn't realise it's the punchline.
I don't
of
know.
the
I
internet.
honestly have no.
Tip score is currently
So
200.
let's
How many
take a look
subs
here,
does
because
he
I
have
know
at this
people
point? Did he
that
have?
contributed
Like, the
over,
sub count
during
went-
all that
it was
happening.
barely 500, was it?
Let's see.
Just every now and then you'll see like an old clip and
looks
you'll
like
notice that the
Nif-
sub count,
Nif-
the sub
Nif-
count is like something like 800 or something like that.
Nymphetamine.
Fucking hell.
Subscribe to the
Remember when
channel.
he
Thank
used
you,
to have that
Nymphetamine,
many
for the
subs?
sub. Georgie did a super chat. Thank you. It looks like nymphetamine. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you, nymphetamine.
That
for
was
the sub.
painful to me.
Georgie did a super chat. Thank you.
I have a signed
Baldy
Cradle of Filth
actually
LP.
became a member here.
That
Thank you,
pronunciation
Baldy.
fucking
And then
hurt me.
Fat Steven Seagal Gaming. Also,
Fuck you, DSP.
uh,
That's where I'm ending it. Fuck
also
you,
went
you
ahead
narcissist
and,
prank.
did a super chat. So thank you guys for your support.
Thanks for watching this bollocks. I don't know how the fuck I'm going
Guys,
to edit it
tips?
down. It might be. It's probably going to be over an hour now. Shut up. Greasy pig. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Big up, super crazy Sunspot Gallery if you're on this side. Shout out to all the OGs like Tevin, Homer, Snort, Dave Davidson. Thanks, Anley. I've been using your stream upload, so thanks for that. Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. If you're sort of like here for the DSP stuff, I hope you feel free to stick around, and I hope you enjoy some of the psychology stuff as well. There is actually some like old gaming footage on here somewhere, but I don't keep stopping the gaming for to sort of beg for Twitches. Beg for Twitch. You get where I was going with that. Fuck it. See you later, everyone. Also, big ups to Tom G, Epsilon Eagle, and Josh Kirby, who all subscribed to my channel just for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. And if nothing else, you got to see somebody else slag off DSP. And I don't know about you, but I always enjoy seeing other people slagging off DSP. So, yeah, there we go. Thanks for watching, everyone.
They thought I said the N-word when I didn't. I was saying something completely different, but someone took it out of context, sent them a clip. Somehow I got auto-flagged and suspended. Within an hour, they reviewed the situation, said he didn't say that, and then they reinstated the account.
Shit him up,
Okay? So,